Hey everyone, I hope that you're doing well. I wanted to check in with you because the first timeline assignment is due tonight. It's Wednesday, February 6th, so the ID step for Unit 2 is due at midnight tonight. It looks like most of us are off to an excellent start. There were just a few things that I wanted to point out to help you along the way. Also in helping you locate images, especially that will work here on Tiki-Taki. That's one major topic that I want to discuss. Also wanted to mention that I will have your work on Twitter scored within the next day or two at the latest. I had intended to get that done today, but it's just been one of those days where other kinds of meetings and things to do have popped up. So I apologize for that. I did see some good conversations going on there, and I was able to contribute to a couple of those. So I'm very happy with the way the class is going so far. I think we're all doing excellent work, and I'm enjoying learning from your insights on New Mexico history. Looking at the timeline just in general, I'm going to find my cursor first, and then I want to scroll over. Hopefully we won't make anyone sick. It's not going too fast. But it looks like, so if you've done everything correctly in terms of formatting, your thumbnail will look like this one, like most of them do. I've got my little news update from NPR there. So again, you'll see your little thumbnail of your picture, your name, and so on. If it doesn't look quite like that, so this one, for example, I'll show you what to do in order to make just your name appear in the thumbnail, and so that the formatting is easier for all of us to read and follow along with. Also, this one here, you'll notice that the image is not displaying, and so that's something I want to talk about as well. And then finally, please be really careful when you add your placeholder. Pay attention to the date that you've added, because sometimes it's easy to accidentally put a 9 instead of an 8, for example. Also, make sure that you choose topics that fit within the current unit. So for Unit 2, for example, we end roughly in 1680, 1690 with the events of the Pueblo Revolt. We'll be picking that back up in Unit 3 with the Reconquest, 1692-ish. So there's going to be a little overlap between the units. But again, in general, pay attention to the time frame and make sure that for each unit you are posting a topic that has to do directly with that unit. Okay, so now that I've showed you a few things to look out for, one other thing I do want to mention in general about the timeline, since we're all using it, working on it together, sometimes it will log you out. I was just logged in before I started this video, and I got logged out. I do apologize for that. It can be frustrating. That's one of the reasons that I ask you to do all of your work in a Word document first before pasting it here. That way, if that happens to you, you haven't actually lost anything. But again, it can be frustrating. I do apologize. It is one of the drawbacks of using the free version of Tiki-Taki. So I just clicked login. I'm going to re-enter. My browser remembers our sign-in information, so I'm just going to click login. And then, as most of you have probably noticed, when you first log in, you come to this page. I've had people in the past ask, they scroll down to here and see that we've reached our limit. That's not a problem. All you need to do is click New Mexico History right here, and it will open our course timeline, and you will be able now to access the admin controls, and you'll be able to add and edit your own work. Please be careful to only edit your own work. That typically isn't a problem, but I just wanted to emphasize it again. Another reason I have you write your work in a Word document and also also submit it to Blackboard. So do remember, you need to submit not only here on Tiki-Taki, but also in the submission area in Blackboard that I showed you in one of the other course tour videos. So I'm going to scroll back over this way and find the couple of entries that we were looking at a minute ago. So we've got Juan de Oñate and we've got the Pueblo Revolt. Let's look at the Oñate entry first. So I'm going to scroll down here, click Juan de Oñate. So again, this is something I'm doing. I don't want you to do. Please don't alter other folks' work. I'm going to use Caitlin's here just to give you an example, but I'm going to put it back for her once I'm done. So what I've done here is I've highlighted all the text of her entry, leaving just her name in this intro box. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to click Save, because as I mentioned, you get logged out sometimes, so please save often. And you'll notice what's changed over here. Now it only has by Caitlin, by her name. So in order to still have all of your information in the post without having it all appear here, you need to click Extra Info. So right there, then I'm just going to paste that entry here, click Save. And now when I click More, you'll notice that everything is posted in this way. So I should have opened this before I changed it, but if you post everything in this intro box, it will all be kind of smashed together. It will all be in italics. But if you do it the way I just showed you, using Extra Info, it won't be in italics, and you can keep some of your formatting. So for example, if you had a paragraph break, you can keep a paragraph break like I just showed you there. Of course, hers didn't have that, so I'm going to put it back. I'm also just going to put it back the way it was so that Caitlin would get the opportunity to change this. So I'm just going to revert it to the way it was. When you have your outside link, and again, it's fine that this one's incomplete. Let me click Save, and then you see what I'm talking about there. It's okay that this is incomplete because it's not due yet. When you have the URL for your outside source, this is the place where you paste that. Again, click Save, and then you use this Media tab to add your image or video. Let me then look at this Acoma Revolt one. Oh, so this one is not what I thought it was. This one's just fine because when you click into it, it's a video. So you can play that video and it does display correctly. We won't have to watch it. I'm just going to kind of show you that it will just play right here in this box. All right, you can hit close. So that is actually just perfect. Let me see if there's another example of one that oh, that's why. It's because it was the Pueblo Revolt one. My mistake, everybody. Let me go back up here, Pueblo Revolt. So Juan's done a good job of setting this up. If we click on more, you'll notice because he's pasted the URL for his source right there. If you scroll down to the end, there's this Find Out More button. You click that, and it will open the source. More quickly, depending on how fast your internet is. So I'm going to close that back out. But you do notice that the image didn't show up. So let's go to Media, and let's see if we can see why. So I'm going to click Edit just so that I can see what he did. I'm getting some text there. Sorry about that. I'm going to highlight the source URL and just copy it so that I can see what that looks like. I'm going to open it up in a new tab. So there's the URL, and as I suspected, so what we've done here, what Juan's done is used the URL from the browser bar for this website rather than the URL for this actual image. So in order to get the URL for the image itself, you need to actually click on that image, do a right click or a control click if you're using a Mac like I am, and then you scroll down to copy image address. And so, my wife needs to talk. We'll talk to her after this. You hit copy image address, and the URL for the image itself will now be copied. So if I go back over here then and I replace this with that new one I just copied and click Save, you'll notice it appears. That usually is what happens when there are issues with bringing the image up. as I did before, I'm just going to revert this to what it was, so Juan can go in and fix that when he gets the chance. I think those are kind of the main things. One other thing I want to show you about Juan's entry. He's made a second paragraph here that specifically addresses historical significance. Even if you don't talk about historical significance in that direct of a way in your posts, make sure that you've done that. And what I mean by that, just the short version, I've given you other resources to think about it, but this is where you are drawing your conclusions about why this event, in this case, matters to New Mexico history, why this is something that we all need to know about and understand in order to truly understand New Mexico's past. So that's what he's done by putting this into a separate paragraph. It is also possible to list many significant things about your topic without actually addressing historical significance. So what I mean by that, if we take this second paragraph out of the equation and we look at his description of the revolt, we'll notice that he says there was a leader named Pope who stood up and overthrew the Spanish. Of course, that's significant. We know Pope is significant. He was the leader. Giving these details, these are important things, right? The fact that this pushed the Spanish out for 12 years, that is important. The missing piece is explaining why that is important. So if you haven't taken a chance, either up here with the main text or in a separate paragraph, to explain why the things about your topic are significant to New Mexico history, then you haven't yet gotten that piece of historical significance for the assignment. Lastly, thank you for watching all of this little tutorial with me. I do want to mention that I always give the opportunity to revise for up to full credit with the Unit 2 timeline assignment. I know that this is a brand new kind of assignment for most of us, if not all of us. And so you have the chance to revise your work based on the feedback that I will give you in the next few days via Blackboard. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a little behind in terms of scoring. That's why I wanted to make this screencast to point out a few things as you are all completing the assignment. But again, based on whatever feedback I give you, you have the opportunity to revise. Just send me an email. You only need to make the revisions here on Tiki-Taki. You don't have to do it on Blackboard. Send me an email, let me know that I need to go and update your score, and I will do just that. So I think that's everything I have to say about the timeline at this point. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to continuing our study of New Mexico history.